You got a menthol?
Please. I'll grab a menthol off you, that's alright.
Yeah, go for it.
Yo, so as I was saying before, right, like, that whole thing about you wanting to do a lot of different things, and how you even mentioned, you know, like, to create some kind of safe space that healing is, like, create the safe space where people can feel alright that healing is messy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think that's why I fucks with you, Jia, you know? Because sometimes the ideas,
Yeah.
even again, I'll bring it up, like the whole sometimes collaborative efforts become messy.
Yeah.
Because just everyone's got a different upbringing and vision and view and agenda on things.
Yeah.
But this makes a lot of sense, what you're talking about.
Because my interests are messy as well. Some days I feel like, I just want to do yoga. Some days I want to run. Some days I want to, sing. And it really depends on how I'm feeling that day. If I'm up for socializing or stuff even,
Yo.
Because, I don't know, like every emotion you feel it's your own experience, and you're entitled to whatever you're feeling. And you don't have to rationalize it for anyone.
This is the truth.
You don't have to put yourself in boxes as well. Like you don't need to just be a b-boy. You don't need to just be a yoga teacher or, I don't know, student or, podcast creator, content creator.
Influencer.
Yeah. What
The
does that even
influencer.
mean? I don't want to have any influence over anyone.
Yeah,
You know?
Fuck, you dropping constant bombs today, Gia. That's some crazy shit. You're right.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct.
And I think that's what I want to use my Instagram for. I mean, I don't have a crazy following or anything, but I want to not feel so bothered about what I put out there. Of course, I don't want to be putting triggering content out there, but I just want to be as expressive, or if someone sees it and it helps them in a day, that'll be great. But I don't want to be like, this is how you should be feeling, or this is how you should be living your life.
It seems to be like the standard, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like when you look at certain, and even the style, like the glossiness
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
You know, like I follow a lot of gamers. You know, well, not on Instagram, but when you look at certain Instagram accounts, this is perfectly lit. You know, all the paraphernalia is just, it's like handy.
Yeah.
That even the posts become, especially these self-help ones.
Yeah.
You know, and with these quotes, and then I think sometimes it's just very surface level. You know, and doesn't quite get to this like vulnerable,
Yeah.
gritty, dark side. That it almost feels like the literature is not about accepting that dark side, and more about like, think positively. You know, positive self affirmations. You know, don't do this, cut off toxic people. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, but some people don't have that choice.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Some people, in your life may be really toxic, but you love them, You can't really fucking cut them off.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, some people are toxic, but maybe it's just a phase that they're going through in their life, and maybe they need someone to help them out as well, Of course, you might not be that person, or you might feel like you are that person, so it's not that easy, The way people put it, especially, it's so, like, clear-cut sometimes, like, it's messy, man.
It's messy, yo. There's no, like, I mean, let's go there, but, like, unless it's someone who does psychic surgery who can slice a line for you in some different world. Remember I told you about my my ex who was from Taiwan? You met her. That was crazy shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's messy. The truth is, it's messy. I kind of feel like these kind of feelings, these kind of things that your collaboration, this new idea of yours, addresses, is that feeling, when, that dirty feeling?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like a oily feeling like no matter how much you wash it, it's just
Yeah.
kind of lingers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a fungal thing.
It's kind of like, you know, the old Chinese takeaways, and then, like, you know, those plastic boxes. You want to reuse the container, but you can't scrub the grease out.
Yo, and then you have to soak it
Yeah,
in the washing detergent with boiling water.
Yeah, you try everything, man. Use vinegar, use baking soda, nothing works.
Nah, yo,
Yeah.
yeah, I hear you. It is. That's what, you know, depression might feel like for some people. That's what, you know, I'm pretty sure that's what illnesses can be described as, you know, cancers, tumors, things like that. Just this thing you can't,
Yeah.
you know?
That's the thing with depression as well. I feel like, you know, how a lot of people say, yeah, it's like, it's almost like cancer because it takes over your whole body.
Yeah.
But then the way they see depression is that once you get over it, somehow you're done. Like, it never comes back or something. Or at least that's the people that I've spoken to.
Interesting.
Whereas, like, when you have cancer, sometimes you go into remission and you never know when it's going to hit you again. And people don't judge you for having that illness because it's a physical thing. Whereas, like, anything mental, it's kind of like, you're stronger than this. Pick yourself up.
It's a good
you
point.
know?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But if you are depressed, there's still this stigma attached.
Yeah.
The shame. Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And so, I guess just, you know, just to school up whoever's listening, not necessarily about the idea,
Yeah.
specifics, but you're trying to create this safe space where people can have a conversation, maybe move,
Yeah.
maybe do things to help address certain things.
Yeah.
Because it's not, again, it's not a clear-cut solution for everybody.
Yeah.
It just really depends, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. And I guess it doesn't have to be a pretty place. I mean, of course I want it to be aesthetically pleasing because healing, you can't have it in a cluttered area, I guess.
Yes.
Because cluttered space, cluttered mind, stuff like that.
Et cetera, yep.
Yeah. But I feel like it doesn't need to be like what's trending these days, like minimalist or stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, that is a thing right now.
Yeah.
Because of, what's her name? It's
Marie Kondo.
yes.
Yeah.
Kondo-sama.
Yeah.
Miss Marie Kondo-sama.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
great if you're trying to cleanse out your life with things that you don't need to hold on to anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I guess, you know, that is a very, very, not typical is not the right word for it, but like that is a very strong point of Japanese culture because of space.
Yeah.
Yet, as minimal, and by the way, you know, I don't know if you've been to Japan or lived in Japan or stayed there long enough, but not everyone is minimal there. There are
Yeah.
hoarders in Japan as well.
I'm
you
sure,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah, you know, like that's an interesting thing for her, I think, because you can buy so many things in Japan.
Dude, the shit you can find in Japan, man.
Right? You know, that of course now someone needs to talk about, like, you don't need this, you don't need that, get rid of it, you know? Some people aren't like that. They,
Yeah.
Like, I need this MacBook Pro, I'm not going to throw this MacBook
Yeah.
Pro out, you know? I need this bottle because it reminds me of the Philippines, you know? It's symbolic, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Oh, no, throw that away. It just sits there, it just gathers dust. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
apply in this context.
No. I think it's a good thing to have with, like, capitalism and, you know, so many things are sold just for the sake of making money. Like, I mean, look at your supermarkets these days. You got the little shop Kohl's bullshit thing where you're collecting shit like that.
Yo, my daughter loves that shit. It's fucked up, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, but I mean, not everyone can be minimalist in the sense that, for my mom especially, like in her generation, you know, buying things is a luxury. And I guess that's the way they show care, you know. They go to places, they buy you things. And yes, sometimes it might clutter your space, but it means something to them, you know.
Yeah, it's a deep psychological connection
Yeah.
with what they're purchasing. It's really interesting that we're talking about safe space because I've been meditating on and off. I'm not a very good meditator, but when I do, it really helps.
Yeah.
You know, it's another form of decluttering, right?
Yeah.
And I'm really interested, actually. This is something we could talk about later on, about how people would stay in the right frame of mind through whatever things that they do in their lifestyle, despite the place, their environment being a cluttered,
Yeah.
toxic, busy place, dense place. But one thing I learned in this meditation was a new one that I picked up from a healer. She gave me this book. She just brought it with her. I met her first day I met her. Boom. Hey, I had a feeling. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard this, have heard or had experience like this, but someone goes, "I brought this with me, and I wasn't sure why, but I
Yeah.
think I know why, and I need to give this to you." Like, yo, what the fuck? She just gave me a fucking bong and a fucking bag. No. She gave me this book,
Yeah.
and in the book talks about a tribe in the Amazon that their shamans, the way that they meditate is to create sacred space.
Right.
And I'd never done that in my meditations. I'd always
Yeah.
just, like, just kind of did it, try to be in a quiet place, close my eyes, try to look up into the third eye and activate something somehow.
Yeah.
Whether it's psychosomatic or it's really happening, imagination wise, it was just, there was stuff happening.
Yeah.
But this really took things to another level. And I think creating a safe space, because of how it looks, the aesthetics of it,
Yeah.
it is important.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Striking that fine balance, like,
Yeah.
how could you do that? Hey, that's the $1 billion question these
Yeah.
days, isn't it? Yeah.
I kind of just want a place that people feel comfortable. Like, you go to one of your best friend's house and it might be messy and shit like that, but you can put your feet up on the table or you can reach for whatever you want. I just kind of want to have that space where everyone feels welcome, basically.
Yeah.
And it can be like in a garage or it can be in a very nice studio. It just has to be a place that there are set, like, rules, not really rules, but kind of like everyone feels respected.
Yeah, I guess guidelines might be a word for now. Hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an interesting one, hey, because you have people from all walks of life. Sometimes these guidelines, it'll be an organic thing, hey.
Yeah.
It'll just be a work in progress constantly.
Yeah.
Ideally, what kind of safe space, if you could just, like, in one line, or in a couple, what's your ideal safe space? It's a bit of a tough question, I realize.
Yeah. Well, I just need to feel cozy in a space.
Yeah.
Like, how we're talking about you hate cold feet. And I hate feeling cold as well. Just probably like just somewhere you can, you feel warm without any reference to the weather. You just feel welcome.
Yeah.
Like, how you walk into a space and you're just like, I don't really want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine, some days maybe you walk into the space that I'm envisioning and you don't really feel like you want to be there, and then just whatever.
Yeah.
But I just want it to feel like a place where a community can grow.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you need that nurturing space for that growth, through the comfort. It's like an incubator.
Yeah.
Warmth, light. It's really interesting that you just brought up a thought. Like, when we were really young, Sydney was the place to be. No one really came to Melbourne.
Right.
Sydney had all the internationals, had all the best things popping off, new brands opening up, whatever. But in Melbourne, what we had, which we really embraced, was like these grungy pubs and bars, where rather than going to like the casino for a really up and pretty out there nightclub where you had to dress up to get in, this place you could be yourself. There was like all the grit and gunk of how many years or months of beer, cigarettes, smoke, dirt, and we used to love going to places like this and dance in it, and it was dark and brick was exposed before it actually became like a Melbourne style,
Right. Yeah.
an embraced aesthetic.
Yeah.
It was like this thing. Just a random thought. Yeah.
No.
But that's the spectrum, isn't it? Because while you were saying, a place that was warm where you didn't need to worry about the weather, it was funny, I was thinking of like a place with like open windows.
Yeah, I kind of want like a really
Sunlight.
studio look.
Yeah. Yeah, like a place. Yeah, for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to limit anyone, but I mean, all my friends are creatives, and I feel like I'm quite drawn to those kinds of people. So I want to be, have like natural lighting, big windows, almost like a warehouse studio vibe.
Yeah, word. Would you have plants inside?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't be able to keep them alive because I can't do shit like that.
You'll
But
need to hire someone with a green thumb.
yeah.
Yo, that's what's up. Or in fact, that could probably just be a communal thing. In fact, it could even be like part of the ritual of the space.
Yeah.
Hey, have you watered the plants today?
Yeah. Because I know like yoga studios are like that, where you like, you chip in, you clean the floors and stuff, and then you get free yoga classes on the side,
Oh, really?
Just stuff like that, yeah.
Hey, that's nice.
Just really like community-driven spaces.
Yeah, community-driven. It's definitely... It's funny because even the word community is has become a bit of a dirty vibe.
Yeah.
As a thing. But I mean, I'm not saying that about what you're saying now. But we need to reclaim that word.
Yeah.
Individually and as a group of like-minded people and as a community. Yeah. And I really think that what you're talking about is this definitely has the potential for that, because I know a lot of cool people,
Yeah.
and all walks of life. I think the issue with the hip hop and the breaking dance as well is there is a high level of ego and posturing that is needed, because it is a competitive field, and it's very hard to find people who are just more so about the art than everything else that comes attached with it. It's really actually quite a detachment, don't you think? Like I remember I had someone comment on my early days of doing my stretching, and I was hashtagging Yo Llama, and one dude, I clicked him and he was like massive, he had like 14k followers and whatever, and his comment on my sequence was, "Oh, this is cute." And I'm like, why would you say that? It's
Don't
kind of
patronize me.
like, because you got 14k followers and you're like a full practitioner of your art. I didn't say I was doing yoga, buddy. Like I would have thought someone of your... Well, I'd like to think, and I realized then and there that you've got the very physical aspect of yoga, and dudes who excel there, but how many actually are about that spiritual side? And it's the same with breaking, dance, anything. There's like hardcore on one end of the spectrum and then hardcore on the other side, and then maybe a very select few that is balanced right across. It takes a certain kind of person.
The weird thing about yoga is that physical aspect of it is only one. Like, there are 8 limbs of yoga. There's meditation, there's lifestyle, there's the way you eat, there's the way you carry yourself.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Because I've heard some of the phrases and the names. And I know that chakras... I could be wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong, but the chakras were something that were mentioned, that is mentioned in yoga. Certain positions open this, help align that, this and that, which I really like that visual, like that. When you imagine, right, I got these, because I can't see them. I've heard of people that can see them. Actually, fun fact. Do you know that apparently the chakra, the way that they look, that people can see them, they're this like trumpets.
Oh, really?
Like a speaker.
Right.
That open at the front and the back of the spine. So like from let's say your chakra here, at the front it's like a trumpet, a faucet, and it also appears in the back.
Oh, so it goes straight through you.
Yeah.
I thought it just runs down. or
Yeah, so
something.
inside there's that network. Like if we think of meridian points,
Yeah.
it's like that. You've got it's like a main thing, and then it spreads out through the body. But its input and output goes
Right.
both ways.
Yeah.
It possibly could go to the side. I don't know, but yeah. And so, in terms of like some psychic healing I've had done before, these parts of your body, not limited to the chakras, have barbs, like barbed wire, trapped in them. And so there is this method, this ritual where they can't just yank it out
Right.
because it'll fucking pull out everything, all the energy that comes with it. It has to be sort of like eased out. It's funny when I was getting the what chakra? Do you know do you know the chakras?
I know them, but I don't really study them.
Study
so,
them, yeah. Whatever the one is here where the third eye is, yeah.
Mm.
When she was doing this healing on me, boom! Like I saw a flush. Well, first of all, every time I get any healing from massage, chiropractor, because I learned it at a chiropractor, you know, you kind of have to relax. Because if you resist, when you get the full extension,
Yeah.
you resist against it, and then it just ends up like stuck.
Yeah.
So I got into this point where it's like, all right, fuck, it's about to happen. Relax. And then my chiropractor back in the day, she'd go, wiggle your little toe for me, and I go, yep. Oh, you know.
Yeah.
And then so this became a regular thing with healing. When it was coming to this psychic healing, which is only a recent sort of thing for me, I'd get into a meditative state, and then I would feel like, I get this in yoga too, where you're getting this sort of feeling from the feet, and it travels up the body, and then it shoots up. Especially when you do a tree pose at the end of a session, you just feel this
Yeah.
some weird. It's giving me goosebumps now actually thinking about it. But yeah, you get that. And so when it came to the unblocking, I felt this like pressure, like something's about to pop. Fucking bizarre, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then just before it popped, I'd seen a green starfish, like what looked like a starfish, as
Yeah.
in it's a star shaped, like an asterisk, with little spines.
Oh, right.
And when she popped it off, oh, I cried. I was like, "Ah," which is another reason why I do these,
Yeah.
because it's just this crazy purge, you know, like when
Yeah.
you're doing a cleansing. That you need a light. Oh, you're
I've got
yeah.
one here.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress. But chakras,
Yeah.
you know, and all of these things, all of these places.
Yeah, well, for me, yoga is still a very like physical thing. It's nothing really spiritual for me just yet. I
True.
don't know if it'll ever be. But to be honest, I haven't actually been practicing a lot. I teach it, but my practice has been quite stagnant for a while. Like I feel very, very uncomfortable in poses and in my body for some reason this year. So I haven't really been doing much of it or really looking into it. And I feel like it comes and it goes, you know.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for, 5-6 years now.
Mm.
And I've always loved it. You know, I couldn't imagine not doing it. I couldn't imagine a day not doing it. But recently I just can't sit or be in myself. And I feel like that's part of it as well.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so.
And it's learning to work around these things, which I'm still trying to figure out, which is really getting to me. Because when I do it, of course, you know, I miss it. But then there's some days where I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely feel you on that. Hey.
Yeah.
Question: in recent times, whether it was a couple of years ago or if not even more recent, did you hit a sort of plateau
In my practice?
in your practice?
Yeah. Quite a lot, actually. Like some days, some months it go really well, and I'd be... Because in Ashtanga, you get new poses, right? So you finish a pose, you work up to... So you start off with like standing, and then half primary, full primary, and then you get second series. Depending on if your teacher feels like you're ready, if you're open enough in the hips and stuff like that. So I was like, I was just banging through primary, and then I got to second. And then once I hit second, which is all back bends. So backbends is an opening for the front of the body, right? So
Right.
probably just triggered something that I just, from then on, once I started working through second, it hit a plateau, and I couldn't work through that plateau, and just going to the same backbends every day was just so fucking draining.
Yeah.
So I just, nah. And then now I'm just starting to work back up through half primary again, and I'm, because once a teacher gives you a pose, he can't take it back. So technically I could still do second series, but I just don't feel ready, or I don't feel like I want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that though. That whole system. It's like you're bestowed something
Yeah.
because you worked hard for it. You know, but then it's not a physical thing as a sense of like, oh, here's a lighter.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like this is like your body, your whole physical being is how you use it.
That's why they say Ashtanga is very good for type A people, because it's a routine, right? You get up every day 6 a.m. bang, you do it, and then you work to something.
Right.
But there are some people that are just not built that way,
Yeah.
who will never have that flexibility, just the way their hips are formed,
Yes.
the way their knees are, that they're never gonna work into a second series pose or a third series pose.
Okay.
So some people are just stuck with primary for the rest of their lives, and they work with it, They find new meaning in it every day. And like I said, like, you have a set sequence that you do every day, but every day is so different.
Yes.
Every day your sun salutations is gonna feel so different, because your yoga is only one part. Physical aspects of yoga especially is only one part of your day. You do it in the morning, then you go to work, or you look after your kids or stuff like that. So depending on what you do that day as well, it's going to affect your practice the next morning. Or even if you have a really late dinner, you have a really heavy like pasta for dinner or something, and you have it at 10 p.m. The next morning you're going to feel so bloated, you're going to feel a lot less flexible, stiff, too much dairy, stuff like that,
Yes.
So every day you're going to feel something different in your practice. And which is why I like it, because it's the same, but it's never boring.
Hey. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm just quite surprised at how many parallels there are with the people I've been talking to, and in this case with yourself. Like, I'd hit this plateau with the backbends. Like, I'm trying to do like a full. It started off as just like a bridge, but with the head touching the floor, locking the hips, and then taking off the hands, because that's a famous bridge pose in breaking.
Right,
You
yeah.
would go into a backspin, and then this is prior to the technique becoming official. When you backspin, you then place your head on the floor, and the head acts as a hand, and you spin up.
Right.
But then, because if you keep going, you'll just smack the floor. You bend your feet to become that stop. Then you just end up like that.
Yeah.
And it's non-existent these days, but it is an original form.
Yeah.
Then I was like, okay, then the yoga started to kick in. I was like, I gotta do my back bends. So I did my back bends, head off the floor, straight extension of the arms.
Yeah.
Even to a point where I was being silly, but I was trying to get up on tippy toes. Then I was realizing, no, I don't need this. I can actually just do the one leg up,
Yeah.
straight, while doing it. And then the next level was to go into a full legless
Yeah,
hollow
scorpion.
back.
Yeah.
Call it. Scorpion, is that what they call it?
Well, scorpion is what we call scorpion. The two kinds. One is on your forearms. Another one is on a handstand.
With the feet over
Yeah.
that way, yeah. So instead of it that way, it's the other way. So that your shoulders are going right back.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if... I'm pretty sure the B-boys got that from capoeira. I don't know any other discipline that uses that. But that was the ideal position that I wanted to get to, which I used to do as a kid. But the whole thing, the only reason why I asked you this question about the plateau is because I've likened it to the literal meaning of a plateau. Like, we're all taught to climb, or put in a sort of bit more of a negative connotation. We're all in this rat race.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to make that first million, and then get those investments so we can have passive income
Yeah.
off the other dude's rat race. The other dude's struggle and hustle. But when you look at it when you hit this plateau, it's probably that moment where you can actually just coast for ages. And a plateau exists in mountain ranges, right? It's not the low grounds.
Yeah.
It's up there. You're
Yeah.
up there. So you're already up there, and you got this plateau, and there's this amazing view. You can see the horizon. There isn't a cliff face staring you in the face.
Yeah.
You can look around. It's like, yo, fuck, I'm actually pretty high here.
Yeah.
Although I could see the top of Mount Kilimanjaro or whatever. That then you kind of just have to be there for a while.
Yeah.
Because you can see it in the distance. There's the next cliff face, or the next foot of the mountain. The next peak that you then need to go. And I think that practice of Ashtanga is when you think of it in that way.
Yeah.
That metaphor of like same routine, just do it again and again and again, and one day something will just click. Hey.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I couldn't sit with it. I couldn't sit with being stagnant. And I think that's a lot of the reason why people don't keep doing what they're doing.
Yes.
Because, like, you hit a certain point and you're just like, fuck, what else how do I keep getting better at this pace? It's stopped here. Why can't I go any further, And, I mean, I'm still working through it, and I'm still trying to get back to it. But yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like plateaus happen for a reason, and
Yeah.
for me, it was kind of like just really finding the enjoyment in yoga again, I guess.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I hear you. I'm like that with my dancing, actually.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'd like to continue talking about this
Yeah.
particular subject. Because I think my mind's just gone omnidirectional, a million things to come in. But it's like just recently, because of that trip I had, like, whoa, like my vision's going sideways. What is this? Is it because of my diet? Is this stuff organic that I smoked, or is it being laced with amphetamine? Like, what the fuck? Because it
Yeah.
was a random night. It's just like, boom, first time in a long time. But because I couldn't do things, and I'm in here every day.
Yeah.
And it already been a struggle during the transition in the weather. I was just kind of like, dude, fucker, why are you so angry at yourself, so hard on yourself for trying to get shit done? And like,
Yeah.
And one of the things I realized is like, fuck, I'm actually really addicted to the progress.
Right. Yeah.
I love this progress, and it's always what someone in the early years or months of any given thing, they just thrive. If they're about it, just like level up.
Yeah.
Then you hit this plateau and it's like, oh, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
I can't figure this thing out. And I think just from the experience of breaking over 20 years, then you just get to the point where you just got to leave it. Hey, and not feel bad. But because I'm Asian and I'm filler and Catholic, it's kind of like, oh, I feel like a shit cunt. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not making the progress that I want to, like this and that. But then you look at someone like the Japanese, and they power through that period. Like every day still, like they can just drop it and leave it, but that for them means they've quit.
Yeah.
But they just go, and then they get to this next level, but then it's like this thing that doesn't seem right. No offense to Japanese, but some dudes that I've been around, like they train real hard, but they did make this incremental increase in their skill set.
Yeah.
But I feel like they might have missed a more important message.
Yeah.
Hey bro, how do you feel today? Oh, Lama-san, like, this is a true story, yeah? Just no fire today, no passion. And I'm thinking in my head, fuck bro, you fucking spun on your head, you did crazy air flares, you done new moves.
Yeah.
6 foot Japanese dude too, power mover, yeah?
Yeah.
Yoshi is his name. And I'm like, fuck, respect bro, like I couldn't do that. Just like fake the funk, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some credit due to that whole where like, hey, if it doesn't sit well with you, fucking
Yeah.
almost fuck it off, there's things that you can't fuck off. Like they'll just be with you forever, as you were saying. But anyway, I just thought to sort of say that perhaps maybe you can expand on that experience for yourself.
Yeah,
you know?
sure. I mean, since we're being like real here, I mean, since I've kind of been like working through this plateau, like I've been saying, and figured out a lot of stuff about myself. I think
Word.
the past few years I probably struggled with dependence on alcohol.
Yo.
And it got to the point where I was so functional that I, have a bottle every night and go to yoga the next morning, and still I feel shit doing the practice because it's all the twisting and detoxing, right?
Yeah.
So the toxins are getting wrung into my system, but I learned to function on that.
Yo.
And only since I started realizing how tired I was, I stopped drinking as much, really. Probably have once every weekend or something.
Yeah, nice.
That I just realized how fucked it was for my body, It was, and I can't function on that level anymore. I can't do the same yoga anymore because I was so numb that I didn't really feel anything doing yoga.
Yeah.
So now that I'm off it, I feel everything when I'm practicing. I feel the anger, I feel the irritation in my body, that there's just no depressant for it anymore. And I was on medication as well, so I was fucked. I was drugged up.
Damn.
Yeah. And I think now learning how to function without any kind of substance is a whole new level of draining for my body, because I am as tired as I was before, but I'm not drinking, so I don't know how I did it. But you just learn to function with what's around you, right?
Yes.
Like what we were talking about, like how people just go through and excel in a cluttered space.
Yeah.
Because you just adapt. We're human beings, we adapt to things.
Yeah, this is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like working through this plateau is trying to face my addictive personality and face everything that's underneath the surface of the superficial practice. Because I am a flexible person by nature.
Right.
I mean, as a dancer, I could never do splits, but once I started getting into like a daily yoga practice, it was very easy for me to get into it.
Right.
So for me, opening my body in different ways is not difficult. So I could be doing a beautiful yoga practice, but I'm not touching anything below surface level. You know what I mean? Whereas yoga, for me especially, like what I'm really interested in movement is how I've been reading this book called The Body Keeps the Score. And it talks about how trauma is not a mental thing.
Right.
Not only a mental thing.
Oh, not only a mental thing.
Yeah. But doctors who face physical trauma, they only treat it as a physical thing.
Right.
They don't deal with the mental side of things. So if you're in a car accident and you have trauma to your neck or your body, they'll treat that trauma, but they don't treat the PTSD.
Yes.
But if you go from, let's say, sexual assault, and it's seen from the start as a very mental, how it can affect you mentally.
Yes.
They don't treat the physical aspect of it, of how you don't feel in control of your body sometimes, right? How certain positions, like if someone holds you down, that triggers off the trauma as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's all interlinked, and for me, that's what yoga is. It's working through the mental and physical trauma that you have in your body.
The fuck?
But yeah, that book has been really interesting for me. That's where I learned about serotonin in the gut.
Yep. Who's the author?
Van der Kolk.
Van der Kolk.
Yeah.
Just click here.
Link in the description below.
Yep. Like, comment, subscribe. Might as well take this opportunity to
Subscribe.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yo. Yeah, I'm pretty mind blown by that. That's because I got to the floor in my sequence, yeah? Then the way that I've been going with these sequences was like, yo, I feel like I need to put my shoulder down now, just because the body's calling for it.
Yeah.
And quite similarly, it's like, breaking, you put yourself in these fucked up positions for whatever weird reason, yeah? Like, why would you do that, dude? That's suicide, you know? That's stupid. The fuck? You're stupid, you know? But, like, for you to talk about how, like, the PTSD, the, like, you're stressed, your body's fucked up, like, yeah, maybe that's the only way to address it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you need to crawl up into a ball and
Yeah.
feel like that time when you almost got run over or you were in
Yeah.
hiding or whatever. Yo, sorry, I'm
No,
still
no, it's
coming to
fine.
terms with it. This is crazy.
So my yoga teacher told me recently that trauma is a lot about feeling safe in the body. You feel trauma because you don't feel safe in the body. Well, for me, it technically is.
Right.
Yeah, so learning to deal with the discomfort you're feeling in the twist, like just breathe through it, man. You're not in any stressful situation right now. You're in a room with other people in like athletic clothes. You know, there's nothing that's gonna hurt you. You just need to sit through it and just retrain your brain to say like, there's no physical danger right now. Because as much as we are rational creatures, we're also animals.
Yes.
So if you have had trauma before, which is what I've read in the book as well, is really interesting. There's a fight or flight, and freeze.
Yes, yes, yes.
So in trauma, your body is either in fight or flight or it's in freeze. So a lot of people who have trauma can't move past that because they're stuck in that moment and it keeps replaying because they can't retrain the mind or retrain the body to feel safe again. Yeah. Yeah.
Healing is messy.
It's fucking messy.
Yo, because it popped up and I've forgotten about it and it's popped up again now. But like one of the things as a Filipino Australian, and not to throw shade on the Catholic religion or in the spiritual practice of that, but there's a lot of guilt, you know, and perhaps it's also because Philippines is third world,
Right. Yeah.
they say, that you know, if you don't earn this kind of money or do that, then you're stuck in a poverty mindset. Like, oh gee, you need to finish all the food on your plate. But mom, I'm full. Like, you know, your auntie can't even eat like this, you know. I have to say, I could have sent this rice to them or some hectic shit like that.
Yeah.
That there's the other side too, where how we're disciplined as kids, and a lot of traumas come from when you're young. Yeah. And it just occurred to me, I was a little shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I must have, you know, with all due respect to my father, you know, but like at the same time, it's pretty hectic. I think I got the naughtiness belted the fuck out of me. That it made sense. By the time I was 16, I became this naughty boy on the dance floor.
Yeah.
You know, like I did all the things that you were not allowed to do. And in fact, if I was able to get into the discipline of flipping off things, then I would be completely invincible. You know, because like as a little kid, what do? You run up the chair, you do this.
Yeah.
And when you fall and wreck yourself, not only do you get like fucking told off, you know, but you get smacked even harder when you've been hurt. Instead of like, son, are you okay? It's like, nah. Back then, it's like, kapak, that's what you get for doing that shit. You know.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. I'm just thinking, how can you address that in this similar manner? Dad, look at me. I'm with the couch. Like, you're fucking 35. Get off the fucking couch, you know. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, that is a really amazing kind of information to get.
Yeah, I definitely recommend the book. Or there's this app called Blinkist. Here again,
Click here. Blinkist.
Blinkist.
You're right.
So Blink-ist.
Right.
And it summarizes books for you within like 10 minutes.
Hey.
Audio. So
Hey.
you get like a whole span of information if you don't have the time to read the book or you want to get introduced to this idea and you don't know if you want to go that deep yet. It's great. I mean, it comes with a subscription fee, but there's a month free trial. So, but yeah.
Yo.
But yeah, I definitely recommend the book or even just he writes articles. He's quite well known in the psychological aspect of trauma. He writes a lot about that, but because he was trained as a psychiatrist, I think
Uh-huh.
So he also knows a lot about the biological sides of things, and he looks into a lot like the neurology,
Mm.
which, because we're both, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's the biology that we're driven with as well, but there's also the rational side of things where you think through things and you learn to explore things outside of what's encoded in your biology.
Mm.
So that's what I find really interesting about his work, that he explores both.
Yeah, I think I think it always has been, but I think more so now. It feels like there's a reminder wave coming through. It's like, yo, we need to explore the both of these together. It's its own field.
Yeah.
It's its own field, you know.
No, but in so many things, you know, like in art these days, like in poetry, was like people are just really going deep. Some people I find like I'm following on Instagram, or just on other socials as well. Like it's a lot of technical stuff, like literature wise. You know, they follow the stanza structure and everything, but it's also going deep into what they're feeling physically, emotionally. You know, just I think it's a trend, whatever it is, but it's a meaningful trend, I find.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any
Or
recommendations? Like.
I'll have to look it up. I'll
Yeah,
pass
yeah.
them over.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, there was this thing about spoken word, you know, not to throw shade on that community, but it really became this kind of this this style of you know, it all became the same,
Yeah.
you know. Like I don't think I can do it now, like because like for example, I do dabble in poetry and spoken word, but mine comes from a more from what I've got from like let's say movies and dramas. You know, like it's very like it's kind of like heroic, like
Yeah.
ancients. Like I stand here tall and proud as you know as the bullets rain down. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's kind of always on that level. But there was this style in the poetry that was a bit too victim for me,
Right. Yeah.
which is cool. I think it's a good thing because this person is, you know, he's addressing that. But when everyone's on that wavelength, it didn't help me. You know, at a time when I felt like I needed something more, I don't know, something juicier. You
Yeah.
know? But yeah, this is interesting. Let me try one now.
Bust it out.
Yo.
Pop off, man.
I'll try to rap it too. Yeah, just put it all together with a Filipino accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, I won't do the Filipino accent. But like, feet cold, mind work. No chemicals in the tobacco. Thus I spoke. Nah. Nah, I'll need a bit of practice on that. But that's crazy. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely new areas. There are new pathways that people are opening. You know, even conversations, the lexicon's expanding.
Yeah.
All this new knowledge, that wave of like, oh, all of this shit is the same. Social media, this and that. It's actually there is a good side, and we're going to another level right now. You
Yeah.
know, and I think that yeah, these. You remember when fusion was a dirty word?
Yeah.
I kind of don't think it's such a dirty word anymore.
I
for
feel like
me.
it's been reclaimed a lot, but sometimes it's done badly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few bad fusion spots I've been to actually.
Yeah. Some are very, very tokenistic.
That is unfortunately quite a bad thing. Yeah, like especially it's a whole nother can of worms, especially when it's this particular person or group of people from a particular race that does it in a tokenistic way and doesn't realize that they're offending,
Yeah.
you know. But then that makes then the counter reaction to that, which I find has also been damaging, is like, oh, I want something authentic. And then this whole authentic wordplay comes out. Everything's got to be authentic. It's like, yeah, but motherfucker, like, you want authentic, let's say, Filipino food. Well, there is that side, right? Which is more on the bougie end. But you want authentic? like the other end of authentic, well, this food needs to be seated out here for at least 12 hours
Yeah.
in this kind of temperature. There should be a few maggots in there, you know, and maybe some of that meat's been reused that's being collected from a rubbish bin, you know, like
Yeah. Or parts of an animal you don't want to know about.
exactly, you know, like I could name a many, you know,
Yeah.
but no, that's exactly. I mean, that's an extreme example I'm given. That now I think there needs to again be the embracing of like, hang on a second, I'm kind of boxes you and shit like that. I can see this as a little bit of an issue, but like I'm Filipino Australian, you know, my influences are completely different. So when I make my adobo, or when I make my mungo or whatever, it's gonna have this flavor.
Yeah.
And maybe someone from the Philippines is not gonna dig it, you know. But for me and for people around me, they'll probably dig it because that's the palate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just this sharing and this understanding, and more we understand these things. Like we're already doing it in our own ways. We're already fusing a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be a focus again.
Yeah.
You know, like I think just to open up the floodgates a little bit. Like, hey, it's okay to make fusion.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, I think that's the thing that really annoys me, especially when my parents come over as well. Like, they come here looking for authentic Southeast Asian food, and I was like, you want authentic Southeast Asian food, just go home, man.
yeah, true.
Just find it back home. Like,
True.
it has, for places to make money here, it has to be palatable to people's preference here.
That is exactly it.
You know, it's not going to have the same amount of fish sauce or calamansi in it, or
Yep.
tang.
No.
Yeah.
No. Different species, different yield,
Yeah.
all the environmental factors, everything. So many different factors that.
And people are talking about wanting to be sustainable and shop locally. You know, you're not going to find the same lemongrass here or pandan leaf, you know?
Exactly.
So, it's fine.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Hey, and that's why I think that again. Let's tie it back into your ideas for a safe space. You know, and what you're planning to do in the future. It's kind of like there are the hardcore that will go to India and learn something, you know.
Yeah.
And these people are around, and then they come back and they're trying to keep that vibe going, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
There has to be an in between, and I think that is definitely a purpose that can be fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know, that you created this in between space, because you'll always have those people that will go and take it to that next level. But I think the majority of people will only stay in this like ecosystem that is their world. You know what I mean?
I actually find people who try to take things out of certain areas and place it in another place and try to be as authentic as possible, I find it a bit sketchy.
This is true.
Like, you can't, that's not you, first of all. Like, if you're from this place, going to another place, it doesn't really seem authentic to me. And I speak a lot about the yoga community in such a shit way, because for me it seems such a superficial thing. Like, I meditate for this reason, you know, I want to achieve, I want to reach nirvana or something like that. And for me, like, the people that I really connect with who are yogis as well are the people who are so real. Like, you know, who are people, yes, I smoke and I do yoga. Yes, I drink and I do yoga. And like I said, it's messy. Like, people are struggling with different things, and they work through addictions, they work through their personal lives, but they find yoga to accommodate it. It's not something that you dive straight into yoga and then you cut everything off. I mean, that's one way to do it, but how sustainable is it?
Yep.
Right? And I think that's the thing that I want with, I guess, a space like that. Yeah. Because yes, I never felt like I was comfortable in my home country.
Right.
And I think I wanted to travel and move somewhere else to find where I could feel like my authentic self.
Word.
Yeah. But it's never gonna happen for me, I think.
Right.
Because I don't know what I'm looking for, and I don't know what that might look like for me. If I find it, then great. But I feel like with every even with every neighborhood I move to, it's a new experience, and I kind of my way of life kind of changes a little bit to adapt to that area. So
Yeah.
I want the space to be adaptable for everyone.
Yes.
I want it to be a space that's malleable, and yeah, like people can just come in and not expect anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know if I'm making sense, but yeah.
No, you are. I'm just hoping that this thing hasn't died because of the battery adapter.
Oh,
But you're getting onto some. No, you do make a lot of sense, and I'm sorry for this quick departure
no, it's
and break. I think because we're about to break down some pretty hectic shit. But again, stop me if it's might be a bit much. Similarly, you get on the do it yourself self help wavelength. They're like, you need to write down your goals,
yeah.
and here are some exercises that help you practice that, journaling, whatever, whatever. And it always came down to it. It's just like I don't really feel, if I'm being brutally honest with myself, I don't really know what I'm looking for, what I want to do. But quite similarly, I think it's because I've come out the other end of the cycle.
Yeah.
Like I was all about Melbourne. Now I make it a point to not say Melbourne, you know. No diss to anyone, but like it's like, so now I feel like I'm out of place. And so the answer where I've identified answers is back in my hometown, in the motherland for me, the Philippines. But it's one of those things. Hey, like that's the journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you kind of just have to keep going, and then you kind of just have to keep on fucking up.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of just have to, like, especially for our generation of people in this generation of the world, this era of the world, you kind of just have to, like, I think the world's at a plateau. It's hit a plateau stage, and that's why a lot of shit is popping off, in a certain way, because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of that energy that doesn't feel right being stagnant.
Yeah.
Right? But stagnant energy has its purpose too. Yeah, like blood clots, they happen for whatever reason in the body, and then you need to get a leech on that. So hence why there's so many vultures. Jokes aside, like
Yeah.
that. I guess the point being is that if there's a stagnant energy, right, still energy, it's just requiring some kind of push. And I feel like, dare I say it, the push is, it's up to us. I'm talking about people who are privileged, yeah, a privileged group of people, the select few, if not the mass. Our jobs are to, like, figure out this transgenerational trauma up to this point. Because here you are in Melbourne,
Yeah.
trying to be yourself, find yourself. Why here of all places? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can be yourself here because of your environment, right? And then what do you do with that information? Like
Yeah.
when you finally discover, oh, this is who I am, this is what I want to do. What do you then do with that after you've exercised, let's say, a nice little golden period for yourself?
Yeah.
And I think, for me at least, sorry, I'm kind of reflecting
No, go for it. Yeah.
my vibes onto what you're saying, but it's kind of like, well, my parents had to leave their home as a thing that they felt like was the right thing to do, but necessarily what they didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And here I am, kind of feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
Like in this weird reverse inverted way where, yeah, I love Australia and I'm happy to be here, I'm grateful for it, but I don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to go to the Philippines and I'll feel more fulfilled, because there's something about how gritty it is, how there's no tissue paper.
Yeah.
Like the discomfort makes
Yeah.
me feel more alive than all of this stuff here. And there's this guilt there still as well. Like, fuck, why is it like that back there? Like,
Yeah.
maybe I need to go through the same suffering, or some weird shit, man.
No, I feel it as well because I mean we all talk about being from Southeast Asia, but I'm from the richest part of Southeast Asia, right? So when I'm talking about Southeast Asia, I don't understand what it means to live in a village. You know, I had trains all around me, I had buses, I had clean water running from my tap. And sometimes it feels like I need to be in that space, you know, especially if I want to do what I want to do. Like I want to help. I want to reach out to people, not say help people because, you know, but
Word, it's good you said that.
yeah. Yeah, I just feel like maybe I come from too privileged a place to be speaking about these things sometimes.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that way too sometimes.
But at the end of the day, yes, everyone suffers their own way, suffers their own experience, and no one can really judge you for being too privileged or being too underprivileged because that's what you're born into.
Exactly.
But
That's
yeah.
the cards you were dealt at birth.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely get the feeling of being unfulfilled in a place or feeling like stagnant for way too long. Because yeah, I moved from Singapore here and I definitely feel more at home here, even though my whole family, my friends are back there. And of course, it was so easy to go over to a friend's place that I grew up with. You know everyone in the family. I don't have that here. I don't have that support system as strong here. But at some point, I think I felt stagnant in Melbourne as well because I do feel more comfortable with myself. But also then, what else? What more can I do?
Right.
And maybe that's where this idea came out from because maybe I'm more familiar with the place now that I can start networking and collaborating and talking through things like that. But then maybe once I go into that and then what else? You know, it's always gonna be, and I think that's growth, right?
Yeah, no, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I'm just realizing like that. The areas that we're opening up are just saying what we've just said. It's definitely the growth, and can sometimes be quite overwhelming. But taking that first step is probably the most overwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, wow, how interesting.
And I think it's fine if it's overwhelming for you. I think the hardest thing to deal with is when it's too overwhelming for other people that are in your life. Like, people will say like, oh, you've changed. And like, I think someone said to me once, like, yes, I've changed. We're changing all the time. And I was like, yo.
Well, isn't it that there's the saying, change is the only constant,
Yeah, exactly.
But for some reason, we as people want to hold on to a particular image or way a person is.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard this before, but like my psychologist said this to me. He was saying how, like because of your traumas and the way you operate your life based on those, the way you live, or the way you do things based on those traumas is a reason why you attract these certain kinds of people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as you've realized that, because you've explored it, and then you're like, hang on a second, no, like, or it's like it was a bombshell when my psychologist said, it's like, Anthony, do you not realize that he's fulfilling dude. I love this dude.
He's the guy in the city.
Yeah, I'd love to get him here actually. I'd love to interview him, but have a chat with him. But he's just like, Anthony, do you not realize that you were emotionally deprived as a child? I was like, I've made that weird face and then had a cross like, oh, fuck, yeah. That then now it's weird, but the isolation and alienation that I had from my recovery or during my depression years, it's kind of stayed the same.
What do you mean?
As in, sorry, I said it came out wrong. The lack of people around during that hard time has stayed the same because I think I attracted those people based on my need for attention.
Yeah, okay.
But now that I don't need it, now all of a sudden, boom, I'm switched back to this younger self. I don't know what age, very young, where I'm just playing by myself, and I'm happy to play with these toys and color in this book and whatever by myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the loner kid, you know, still shy, still thing, whatever, but I'm in my own world, and I'm good with it, you know. And then guess becoming at peace with that
Yeah.
is definitely, like, I think I'm kind of getting towards the tail end of that, you know.
Yeah.
Still things will pop up, it's still ongoing, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like I'll still fall into a trap here and there, you know. Certain things are, you know, really, like, you know, still have a triggering effect. But yeah, sorry, this is as much therapeutic for me as I hope it is for you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
What I'll quickly do, because my fucking feet are freezing, I'm gonna close this garage.
Yeah.
Do you have any raps for us or anything we can do in the interim?
Well, no, I'm just gonna build on that. I guess I come from the other end of the spectrum where, likewise, I was.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Turn the light as well. Continue.
We good? Yeah. I was not a loner kid. I had heaps of friends growing up, I think, and really good ones as well that I could always call and stuff. But I've always felt more comfortable on my own than being around people in a sense. So for me, it's actually been dangerous when I've stayed alone for too long, because I am so comfortable in that space that I tend to go about my days not talking to people or just shutting down. It's kind of like my natural state, but also a defense mechanism, I feel.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's I mean, we're social creatures, and at the end of the day, you're gonna need other people to do things around you. And I think for me, it's taken a lot for me to come to terms with telling myself that it's okay to get help. It's okay to reach out to people and
Yes.
not feel like you're burdening other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big issue at the moment, isn't it? Still. Why a lot of people just feel like they can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
And then there is the counter argument too, where it's like, well, yeah, everyone's going through some shit, whatever.
Yeah.
So just deal with it on your own time.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes back to the same thing we were talking about, like toxic people, you know?
Yeah.
You can be toxic on one end where you're putting everything onto one person, but you can also be on the other end of the spectrum where you're saying deal with your own shit, you know?
Hard up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's those opposing forces that, yeah, I guess we're all trying to seek that balance. You know, how can we reconcile these two different ends and achieve that balance? It's quite Buddhist, actually. Yeah, and I really think it's one of the reasons, subconsciously, I've realized, I'm making it official now that I'm doing these podcasts. Because it's like, when do we actually, especially in Melbourne, when do we actually have a conversation?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like, it became a thing where I was just like, and it's funny because in the Philippines, it's very much part of the lexicon, yeah? It's like, that person's so plastic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because I guess there are times when you have to be plastic like that, you know. But when it's like constant, it's like, we're not talking. And if it could be your friends, you know, like your close friends, we're not actually talking. That the process of creating a safe space, you know, albeit like kind of a professional thing.
Yeah.
You're sitting down, it's like the interviewer couch. You know, you're being recorded.
Yeah.
It's on record.
Yeah.
But we're actually having a conversation now. When does that happen? You know, like, how many people are actually doing this on a day-to-day basis? I'm sure there are a lot of people.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that are not, I think.
Yeah.
Especially myself.
Yeah, I think that's what I noticed as well coming to Melbourne. Like, it's so fucking cliquish. We had this conversation before.
The worst.
We had this conversation before. I think just because I study at Melbourne Uni, you know, people come from private schools and they have their whole gang together, and so they all are familiar with each other. And then when you go out with them, it's so superficial. It's kind of like, oh, I really like your dress, or I really like the way you're dressing and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, like you said, plastic, and it's like you don't really get to know anyone. Like
Yeah.
you may have a room full of people, you might know the names of everyone, but you don't know what the guy does for a living. You don't know how his family is. You know, you don't know what he's going through.
Mm.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I think probably like we mentioned, like how I did want to start a podcast, and probably for the same reasons as well, because and then you're forced to talk about some things and some things that are really difficult.
Hard out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to reach for shit and keep like the conversation going. Like some of the OG podcasts, it's just like, what the fuck are these cunts talking about? You know, constantly. But no, yeah, it's a skill in itself. And it's funny you mentioned that, like someone will mention, you know, oh, that's a nice dress. The first time I heard that was from an American person. And then I noticed it every time I went to America. But the weird thing was, because I don't know, be it the person who I am and who I knew in where was it? In New York, LA. It's like they were pretty hood areas that I happened to be in, yeah?
Yeah.
And when a dude that you would judge to be like, whoa, this cunt is probably gonna kill me, you know, like don't give any eye contact, and I was like, oh, he's coming my way, he's still looking at me. He's like, what did he say? He said it's like, yo, fresh kicks, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And then when I first heard that, it was kind of like, is he taking the piss? Is he dissing me right now? It's like, no, yo, I really like those kicks. Yo, where'd you get that colorway from? You know, like it seemed a lot more authentic, and I've never heard that really here in Australia. But then I can't imagine with us adopting so many things from overseas. Like there was a time when people thought whack meant good thing, and you would, yeah, it was so, it's like, that's whack. It's like, oh god, you know, like these dudes are trying to be on some hip hop shit right now, like
Yeah.
and dope, and you know, like all the normal, all the normal words that most kids say now, you know, like it wasn't a thing back in the day,
Yeah.
you know. And I think the whole point I'm trying to make, because I've lost my train of thought again, is that like perhaps that's become part of our plastic society here.
Yeah.
As plastic N is just like taking in so much information on your Instagram, on your YouTube, your social media, that's like, yo, like somehow they've picked up like they should compliment what a person wears as a thing, and not as a genuine,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I felt the same way in New York as well. Like a lot of people were just off the street, just like, "Oh, yo, I like your shoes, man. I like your pants and stuff like that." Well, I guess what I was talking about here in Melbourne is like maybe because it was a group of girls that I took it that way. You know, it seems very superficial for me, and it's very judgy. I think the atmosphere that I was in as well. You know, it was the other side of town, south side, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was kind of and I guess from that point on, I kind of noticed how hard it is to really connect with people here, because everyone just talks about the weather.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. It is the basic anchor point for opening conversations. It's
Yeah.
how you break the ice, or it's how you keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's fucking cold today.
Yeah.
No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
It's fucking Melbourne.
Or how many times I've gotten into like an Uber and I'm just waiting for the hey, how are you, and then I just have like good thanks, how are you, like before I even click what he said to me, like, oh, is this where you're going, and I've already said, oh, good thanks, how are you, you know. So it's kind of like routine.
Yeah.
It's no longer conversation, it's just what you say for the purpose of saying it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that is it goes to show, yeah, like, no diss to you in that situation, because I'm guilty of it too, but we're not very present, are we?
No, yeah.
We're not
sure.
very present, you know. I think our minds have expanded in terms of like how much we can take in, but are we really, like, how our brains divided into multiple attention points, when really something like this, even here, it's difficult for me. Not sure about you, but sometimes just to like sit, oh no, the podcast is ending. You know, to sit and really be present.
Yeah.
You know, but I think this is definitely one of those things that people can do, or we can do as people, that can help us tune back into
Yeah.
some kind of present,
Mm.
you know, situation. You
Yeah.
know, what's the time, Gia?
Just 7.
7. Okay. Well, we'll probably have to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because it'll take you 20 minutes to get to Brunswick. Whereabouts in Brunswick are you going? Sorry. Anyway, you're
Yeah.
going to Brunswick. So anyway, yeah, we'll figure that out after. I guess just to wrap it up. For me, I would really like to make a point out of what we've talked about today. Fresh off what we just said, you know, like of being present and having this sort of collaborative, more communal kind of culture grow again. Because, you know, it's very typical in my conversations with a lot of Filipinos to say things like, yeah, you know, there's no real sense of like community.
Yeah.
Everyone's is each to their own.
Yeah.
Is kind of the vibe. There's very individualistic way of living life in the Western world. You know, in this case in Australia, is definitely the way of life.
Yeah.
But I feel like the other side needs to be incorporated. You know, and I think through what I'm observing, maybe I'm just justifying it for myself. But it's popping up. You
Yeah.
know, it's popping up. You know, there's Samoan drill crews now. You know, they're fucking too many ops in here. You know, stay in your lane. But there's this whole self preservation of their gangs, you know, their lifestyle, whatever. But they back up their boys, talk about trenches. It's all about doing things together.
Yeah.
It's like being a corporation, almost. You know. But then again, I think there's still some kind of beauty from the individual, because those individual parts make the bigger whole.
Yeah.
That, yeah, again, to find a balance. And I think that idea of yours is definitely, and your podcast, I hope to be guested on your podcast one day.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know?
If it does get up and running, I'll probably need your help to get it started.
Yeah, just look, 2 iPhones, you know, whatever you can to hook up the mics.
Yeah.
You know, and you can go from there. You know, but yeah, any last words you'd like to say?
Yeah.
Any
just-
plugs? Anything?
Just reclaim the word community, man.
Yo.
Because your community is gonna know what the community needs. It's gonna have the resources that you're looking for, I guess, and then from there you just branch out.
Yeah.
You know?
Word.
Yeah.
Word. That's crazy. Thanks for coming through, Gia. It's
No worries. This is a pleasure.
a big mission on PT. You know, freezing in this garage. But yeah, I'd love to have you here again one day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yo.
Thanks for having me.
Signing out. Peace. Yo.
Thanks for that.
Hey, you're welcome. That was fucking amazing.
That was sick.
You were dropping some bombs, man. What the fuck? I was just like, damn. I'm sorry if you know, like I hijacked a few parts.
No,
You know.
I was just vibing off you as well.
Yeah, word. It was fucking amazing. Oh God. 1 hour, 1 hour 20. And the waveform looks pretty good. Hopefully it's not too